The Witch of Monroe is a captivating and eerie legend rooted in the town of Monroe, Louisiana. The tale is a complex tapestry of folklore, historical context, and supernatural elements, reflecting the fears, superstitions, and social dynamics of 19th-century rural America. This detailed exploration delves into the origins of the legend, the life and fate of the woman who became known as the Witch of Monroe, the supposed curse she left behind, and the enduring legacy of the story in modern times. In the 19th century, the fear of witchcraft was still alive in many parts of the United States, especially in isolated rural communities. Although the infamous Salem witch trials had occurred over a century earlier, the cultural memory of those events lingered, and suspicion toward individuals who were perceived as different or deviant persisted. This atmosphere of fear and superstition created fertile ground for stories of witches and curses to take root. Monroe, Louisiana, like many small towns of the era, was a place where close-knit communities often viewed outsiders with suspicion. Eccentric individuals, particularly women who lived alone or engaged in unconventional practices, were often at risk of being labeled as witches. These accusations could arise from anything deemed unusual: herbal remedies, solitary lifestyles, or simply being disliked by others. The central figure in the legend of the Witch of Monroe is a woman whose name has been lost to history. According to the legend, she was a reclusive figure who lived on the outskirts of Monroe, perhaps in a small, isolated cabin deep within the woods. The reasons for her isolation vary depending on the version of the story. Some say she chose to live away from society due to personal tragedy or grief, while others suggest she was driven out by the community due to her strange behavior or suspected involvement in occult practices. This woman, described in some accounts as being middle-aged or elderly, was said to possess knowledge of herbs and natural remedies, a common trait among those accused of witchcraft. In an era where medicine was rudimentary and often ineffective, those who could heal or were believed to have healing powers were sometimes both revered and feared. However, in the case of the woman who would become known as the Witch of Monroe, her skills were viewed with more suspicion than admiration. As time passed, the woman's presence in Monroe became the subject of increasingly dark rumors. Neighbors began to whisper that she was responsible for a series of unexplained events in the area. These included the sudden deaths of livestock, mysterious illnesses that afflicted both children and adults, and crop failures that seemed to strike without cause. In a community heavily reliant on agriculture, such misfortunes were devastating and often attributed to malevolent forces. The fear surrounding the woman grew as the rumors spread. People claimed to have seen strange lights near her home at night, heard unearthly sounds coming from the woods, and even witnessed her speaking to animals in an unknown language. These stories fueled the belief that she was a witch who had made a pact with dark forces. The turning point in the legend is often tied to a tragic event involving a child. One version of the story suggests that a prominent townsperson's child fell ill and died under mysterious circumstances. The grieving family, desperate for answers and driven by the prevailing fear, accused the woman of using witchcraft to harm their child. In the absence of scientific understanding, such accusations were not uncommon, and the community's fear quickly turned into anger. The exact details of what happened next are shrouded in mystery, but most versions of the legend agree that the townspeople decided to take matters into their own hands. A mob was formed, and they descended upon the woman's home, determined to rid their community of what they believed was a malevolent force. The mob dragged the woman from her home, ignoring her pleas for mercy. The methods of execution vary in the stories. Some say she was hanged from a tree, others claim she was burned at the stake, and still others suggest she was drowned in a nearby river. Regardless of the method, the result was the same. The woman was killed by the very community she had lived among for years. In her final moments, the woman is said to have cursed the town of Monroe. With her dying breath, she allegedly swore that the town and its people would suffer for what they had done to her. The curse was a powerful one, and it took on a life of its own in the years that followed. According to the legend, the curse brought a series of calamities upon Monroe. Floods, fires, and other natural disasters were attributed to the witch's dying curse. Families who had participated in her execution reportedly experienced misfortune, with some falling into ruin or suffering mysterious deaths. The curse became an integral part of the town's folklore, a dark reminder of the consequences of fear and mob justice. The story of the Witch of Monroe didn't end with her death. Over the years, many residents of Monroe claimed to have encountered the witch's restless spirit. Some reported seeing a ghostly figure wandering the woods near where she had lived, while others heard strange noises or felt an ominous presence in the area. These reports contributed to the belief that the witch's spirit had not found peace and was still seeking vengeance. In some accounts, the ghost of the witch would appear to those who were descended from the people involved in her death, as if to remind them of their ancestors' sins. This aspect of the legend added an extra layer of fear, particularly among those who believed they were cursed by association. In modern times, the legend of the Witch of Monroe has become a part of the town's cultural heritage. Although many residents view the story as a cautionary tale rather than a true historical account, it has nonetheless become a source of fascination for locals and visitors alike. The legend is often recounted during Halloween, and ghost tours in Monroe sometimes feature the story as a highlight, drawing in those interested in the paranormal. While there is little historical evidence to support the existence of the witch or the events described in the legend, the tale has endured as a piece of local folklore. It serves as a reminder of the power of stories to shape a community's identity and of the dangers of allowing fear and superstition to drive people to commit acts of cruelty. The Witch of Monroe is more than just a ghost story. It is a reflection of the fears, superstitions, and social dynamics of a particular time and place. The legend, though rooted in historical context, has evolved over the years, taking on new meanings with each retelling. Whether or not the witch ever truly existed, her story continues to captivate the imagination of those who hear it, serving as a powerful reminder of the human capacity for both fear and cruelty, as well as the enduring allure of the supernatural.